We begin not with dreams, but with the anatomy of reality. You want to get rich. Everyone does. But wealth is not a number in your account. It is a weapon in a world governed by perception, fear, and the hierarchy of control. Money, power, influence, they are not rewards of virtue. They are the instruments by which the strong impose the structure of their will upon the chaos of others. And so, if you truly wish to rise from nothing, you must first strip yourself of illusion. You must stop believing that the world rewards goodness. It rewards utility. You are not paid for your worth. You are paid for what others believe they cannot replace. And so the first law of ascension is this: make yourself indispensable to your employer, to your market, to your society. When they need you more than they like you, you have begun to understand power. The poor wait to be discovered. The powerful engineer their own discovery. You will never be invited to the table of influence. You must construct your own table, force others to sit at it, and convince them it was their idea all along. That is how you rise from obscurity, by mastering the theater of necessity. Every empire begins with one mind refusing to accept invisibility. The masses fear obscurity more than death, but they do nothing to escape it. They live in comfort, call it morality, and justify failure as humility. But the truth is simpler. They lack the stomach for consequence. To get rich from nothing, you must cultivate that stomach. You must learn to digest rejection, humiliation, and solitude until they become nourishment for your ambition. The modern world preaches equality, but practices hierarchy. Every institution, from governments to corporations, is a battlefield disguised as cooperation. Those who see this clearly stop seeking fairness and begin seeking leverage. They do not ask for opportunity. They create asymmetry. They study the weakness of systems, the vanity of men, the inertia of crowds, and they learn to move quietly within them, unseen, until the moment of strike. You cannot climb by appealing to the morality of those above you. You must appeal to their interests. Men protect their power, not their principles. Flatter them where it matters, not in their hearts, but in their fear. The one who alleviates fear becomes a friend. The one who amplifies it becomes a threat. Either position is useful, both can be profitable. Understand this. The world is not ruled by the most intelligent, but by the most strategic. Intelligence without ruthlessness is decoration. Strategy without conscience is survival. The path from poverty to power is not paved with inspiration. It is carved with precision, calculation, and patience. You must learn when to bend, when to break, and when to appear broken. The art of appearing harmless is the most underestimated weapon of the ambitious. A wolf who walks like a sheep eats longer than one who bares his teeth. Do not announce your hunger. Conceal it behind usefulness. Let others underestimate you. It is the cheapest camouflage. From nothing, your greatest advantage is invisibility. You can observe without being observed. You can study without threat. You can prepare while the world sleeps. The rich, bound by reputation, are predictable. You, unbound, are dangerous. Use that. Every day you spend in obscurity, you are gathering intelligence, refining skill, building the infrastructure of your eventual inevitability. But do not mistake motion for progress. The poor exhaust themselves with activity. They confuse effort with strategy. The rich understand that power comes not from movement, but from positioning. A lion does not chase every gazelle. He waits, silent, for the one that wanders too far. That is patience, not laziness. Your environment will test your resolve. Those closest to you will call your ambition arrogance. They will tell you to be realistic, to be grateful. Understand what they mean. They want you to remain predictable. Gratitude is a virtue the weak impose on the strong to protect their comfort. Be grateful, yes, but never content. Contentment is the invisible coffin of the ambitious. To build wealth, study not money but psychology. The market is not rational, it is emotional. People do not buy products, they buy stories, symbols, and security. He who understands the fears and desires of men can sell them anything, even their own reflection. The first commodity of power is perception. You must master 3 currencies: attention, trust, and control. Attention buys influence. Trust buys access. Control buys time. Lose any of the three, and you become someone else's asset. Guard your attention like a fortress. Extend your trust like a snare. Control your time like a tyrant. These are not virtues. They are survival mechanisms. Do not chase luxury, chase leverage. The poor buy comfort. The rich buy control. A watch tells time to one man and status to another. Know which message you are buying. Every purchase either enslaves or liberates you. Learn to distinguish necessity from vanity. The poor decorate their cages. The rich design their exits. Discipline is the highest form of power. Those who cannot master themselves are always mastered by others. The world seduces the undisciplined with pleasure, distraction, and validation. Resist them, and you become a minority of terrifying independence. That independence is the soil where wealth grows not from luck, but from sovereignty. To get rich from nothing, you must train your emotions as soldiers, not rulers. Fear is useful when it sharpens caution, destructive when it paralyzes will. Anger is useful when it fuels creation, suicidal when it demands revenge. Pity is poison disguised as virtue. Control your inner state, or others will weaponize it against you. Every negotiation is a battle of perceptions. He who appears to need less wins more. Detachment is not indifference, it is dominance. When you stop needing, you start choosing. The poor beg. The rich position. Learn to walk away without anger, it confuses the world. You will be tempted to seek fairness. Resist that impulse. Fairness exists only where power is equal, and power is never equal. The strong define fairness, the weak obey it. Instead of seeking fairness, seek advantage. Build competence so formidable that no one dares to question your worth. That is justice in the language of power. Understand loyalty. It is a transaction, not a virtue. Men are loyal while it serves their interests. Even devotion bows before necessity. Therefore, build systems, not friendships. Structure loyalty around incentives, not emotion. If your success depends on affection, you are already enslaved. As you rise, betrayal will visit you not as punishment, but as proof that you have entered the game. Do not curse it, study it. Every betrayal reveals the hidden architecture of loyalty. Every disloyal act exposes a miscalculation in your judgment. Power refines character through treachery, just as fire refines metal. Remember, wealth amplifies who you already are. It does not heal insecurity, it magnifies it. If you are weak, you will crumble under abundance. If you are disciplined, you will rule it. So, build not for comfort, but for command. Money is the body of power. Character is its soul. You will not win by being kind. You will win by being clear. You will not dominate by being loved. You will dominate by being necessary. The world respects outcomes, not intentions. And those who master reality rather than resent it become its architects. Every man wants power. Few want the responsibility that comes with it. To rule your life, you must rule your impulses. To rule others, you must understand theirs. Leadership is not the art of giving orders. It is the science of manipulating energy. Fear, hope, greed, admiration, these are levers. Learn to pull them without showing your hand. There is no morality in survival, only consequence. The world rewards results. And yet, the wise ruler knows that cruelty must be calculated. Too little, and chaos spreads. Too much, and fear turns to rebellion. Balance severity with purpose, mercy with timing. A good act done strategically lasts longer than 1,000 acts of goodness done blindly. To get rich from nothing, treat your life as a campaign, not a dream. Every hour is logistics. Every decision is diplomacy. Every relationship is a potential alliance or threat. You are not merely living, you are governing. And governance requires detachment not from humanity, but from illusion. You will lose friends. You will be misunderstood. You will be accused of arrogance. Let them speak. The wolf does not explain himself to sheep. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be effective. Let silence become your ally. It reveals more than words ever could. When the time comes to act, do so decisively. Hesitation is the assassin of opportunity. Fortune favors the bold, not because boldness guarantees success, but because hesitation guarantees defeat. Move as though the gods themselves envy your will. You will fail, you will bleed, you will be betrayed. But those are the rites of passage of anyone who dares to create their own empire. Every scar is a signature of sovereignty. Every loss is tuition in the science of command. Do not hide them, display them like medals of evolution. And when you finally rise, when you stand where others once doubted, you remember, power is never owned, only rented. The rent is due every day, paid in vigilance. Complacency is the silent coup that dethrones every empire. The moment you think you are safe, the game begins again, this time with you as the target. To get rich from nothing is not merely to earn money. It is to master yourself, your environment, and the illusions of others. It is to turn invisibility into strategy, pain into propulsion, solitude into sovereignty. It is to walk through the fire of necessity until comfort becomes irrelevant. That is how empires are built, not on luck, not on virtue, but on understanding. You will not win because you are better. You will win because you see clearer, move quieter, and strike faster. And when they ask how you did it, you will smile, for they will never understand that the greatest wealth is not what you possess, but what you no longer need. You were not born powerless. You were born unaware. And the moment you see the machinery of the world for what it is, not a moral order, but a theater of control, you will stop asking for permission and start writing your own laws. That is the true beginning of wealth. Now rise. The stage is set. The masks are many. The throne is empty. And the game, as always, favors the one who dares to play it without illusion. Wealth begins not with possession, but with perception. Not with gold, but with control. The one who commands perception commands reality. Because human beings do not act on truth. They act on what they believe to be true. The path from nothing to abundance is not a straight road paved with opportunity. It is a maze built by those who already possess power, designed to confuse, delay, and exhaust those who dream of escape. To navigate it, you must understand the minds of its architects. You must think like those who have never known poverty, yet fear losing what they own. More than the poor fear hunger. Fear is the hidden language of all systems, and once you can speak it fluently, you will no longer be a subject within the system. You will become one of its quiet engineers. The poor man searches for fairness. The strategist searches for position. The poor man prays for a break. The strategist manufactures one. The poor man curses the game. The strategist studies the rules, then rewrites them. To get rich from nothing, you must abandon the morality of spectators and adopt the discipline of players. Every move counts, every silence speaks, every alliance costs. The sooner you accept that survival itself is political, the sooner your hunger becomes precision. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they misinterpret resistance. They believe difficulty is rejection, when in truth it is initiation. Power tests all who approach it. It must. For only those willing to endure hardship without complaint are fit to wield it. The world gives wealth to those who treat it as conquest, not charity. A man who begs for opportunity will never receive it, but the man who seizes responsibility when others retreat earns the right to command. Responsibility, not luck, is the foundation of riches that lack. And yet, you must never forget the theater of appearances. In the modern world, image is armor. People no longer judge reality. They consume it. They do not respect truth. They respect projection. Therefore, your presentation must be disciplined as your ambition. Speak little, execute much. Let rumors build your myth, not your mouth. The man who controls what others think he is becomes untouchable. To seem stable in chaos, compassionate in ambition, humble in victory, these are performances, but they are necessary. The age of digital illusion has turned every man into a brand and every truth into an advertisement. You must not resist this. You must master it. Behind every fortune lies a temperament, and that temperament is rarely gentle. The world belongs to those who can delay gratification, who can tolerate insult without reaction, who can see beyond emotion into pattern. Rage blinds, envy distracts, pride exposes. But cold clarity sees advantage where others see injustice. Learn to see every event as a transaction, every setback as intelligence, every betrayal as education. If you can extract meaning from pain, wealth will follow you as consequence, not goal. There will come a moment when you must choose between reputation and reality. Choose reality. Reputation feeds vanity. Reality feeds power. The rich man invests in foundations, not facades. Let others chase applause. You are here to construct endurance. You must be like the architect who builds for storms, not for sunlight. Most fortunes die in the second generation because they were built for pleasure, not for survival. Do not inherit that weakness. You will be told to follow your passion, to trust your heart, to be authentic. These are comforting lies sold by those who have already secured their comfort. Passion without calculation burns resources. Authenticity without discretion invites attack. What you call passion, others call leverage. Let your passion serve your plan, not replace it. Every emotion must report to strategy. Emotion is fire, use it to forge, not to consume. Observe those above you. Study not what they say, but what they conceal. Every powerful figure operates on 3 levels: the visible intention, the concealed motive, and the unspoken fear. If you can decode the last, you can control the first 2. The modern king is not crowned, he is followed. And followers are governed not by command, but by narrative. If you wish to be rich, master narrative. Control the story people tell about you, and they will protect your throne for free. Never reveal the full extent of your ambition. The moment people sense you are no longer one of them, they will conspire against you. Let your rise appear gradual, your victories accidental. Power grows safest under the shadow of humility. Pretend to obey long enough to build your own army. Pretend to fail long enough to escape suspicion. Pretend to care long enough to outlast emotion. When the mask finally falls, let it be too late for your rivals to resist. Wealth demands transformation of identity. The man who begins his journey is not the same man who finishes it. To evolve, you must be willing to betray who you once were. Poverty is not only a financial condition, it is an identity built on limitation. You cannot keep that identity and expect to cross into power. You must abandon it, even if doing so isolates you. You must exile yourself from mediocrity. Solitude is the tax of evolution. You will pay it with silence. Silence is misunderstood. The weak fill silence with explanation. The strong use it as architecture. Every moment you stay silent, the world imagines your thoughts, and imagination is the most fertile ground for influence. The poor shout to be seen, the powerful whisper to be obeyed. Learn this rhythm. It is the cadence of authority. You will encounter people who believe success is immoral, that ambition corrupts, that wealth enslaves. These are the philosophies of the defeated, rationalized into virtue. Do not hate them, but do not inherit their illusions. Their morality was born from failure, not wisdom. Remember, virtue without strength is decoration. Strength without virtue is chaos. To rise, you must learn to alternate between the two like instruments, using each in proportion to the necessity before you. Every system of power depends on belief. If you can shape belief, you can bend reality. Governments, religions, corporations, all are structures of organized faith. Their currency is confidence. Their downfall begins the moment that confidence cracks. If you wish to ascend, build confidence in yourself first. Then project it until others mistake it for truth. Confidence, even false, creates gravity. People orbit around those who appear certain. Doubt repels. Conviction magnetizes. The poor man seeks reassurance. The ruler creates it. To get rich from nothing, you must rewire your instinct from comfort to control. Do not ask what is easy, ask what gives leverage. The easy road creates dependence. The difficult one breeds ownership. Each time you choose difficulty voluntarily, you are declaring independence from circumstance. The weak pray for freedom from struggle. The strong use struggle to become free. This is the paradox that separates rulers from victims. You must understand that wealth is not infinite, only its illusions are. Every empire feeds on the exhaustion of another. The modern version of conquest is economic, psychological, algorithmic. If you are not conquering, you are being conquered. The platforms you scroll through are not neutral. They are palaces where your attention is taxed, your emotion harvested, your identity monetized. Do not be their peasant. Use them as weapons. Master visibility without dependence. Become a producer of attention, not its consumer. The one who owns narrative owns markets. Ruthlessness does not mean cruelty. It means precision uncorrupted by emotion. A surgeon cuts not because he hates the flesh, but because he understands the disease. In the same way, the strategic mind acts decisively, not out of malice, but out of necessity. Sentimentality delays execution. Hesitation kills momentum. If you must choose between being liked and being effective, always choose effectiveness. History remembers the builders, not the beloved. And yet, power without restraint is suicide. You must know when to retreat, when to yield, when to disappear. Disappearance is not defeat, it is incubation. The greatest power moves unseen until it manifests as inevitability. To build from nothing, sometimes you must appear to have lost everything. Let them underestimate you. Let them laugh. Every empire begins as a rumor, so listen carefully. Wealth is not about possession. It is about command of mind, of emotion, of narrative, of perception. The poor chase riches. The powerful create structures that make riches chase them. This is not greed, it is governance. You are not here to participate in the market. You are here to understand it as a living organism and bend it toward your design. Your task is not to escape the game, but to see it clearly enough to play it with mastery. For those who see the board fully, poverty is not a curse, it is camouflage. From nothing, you are invisible. From invisibility, you are untouchable. From untouchability, you are inevitable. And when you become inevitable, you will understand what the rich have always known. Wealth is not an end, it is a form of war. And every war, no matter how quiet, is won first in the mind. There was a man who sold umbrellas in a city that rarely rained. His competitors mocked him, calling his trade pointless. Yet he persisted. He understood something they didn't, that people do not buy umbrellas only for rain, but for the idea of protection. He sold security, not fabric. When the rare storms came, his name was already synonymous with preparedness. The others scrambled to supply. He owned the association. That is how wealth begins, not in profit, but in perception. You must find the emotional thread that binds a need to an image, and then own it so completely that no one else can enter without paying tribute. There was another man who worked for a tyrant of a boss, the kind who yelled, belittled, and drained every ounce of energy from his employees. The others complained and left, but this man stayed. He observed. He learned how power dressed, how it spoke, how it delegated, how it manipulated. He treated his boss as a living textbook of ambition's anatomy. When the company collapsed under its leader's arrogance, he was the only one who understood how to build the same empire without its poison. He did. He learned to copy what worked and discard what didn't, the most powerful skill in existence. Never despise your oppressors. Study them. They are involuntary teachers. There was a woman who wanted to be rich but hated networking. She believed in merit, in the purity of hard work. She watched less skilled people climb higher through connections. Her pride became her poverty. One day, she decided to test the opposite. She began attending gatherings she once mocked, listening more than she spoke, remembering details others ignored. She learned the art of social capital, the subtle science of being known before you are needed. Within years, doors opened that talent alone could never touch. She realized then. Hard work builds competence, connection builds access, strategy turns both into influence. The poor overvalue labor, the rich understand leverage. A young entrepreneur once lost everything to a market crash. He blamed the economy, his investors, his luck. But then he noticed a pattern. In every collapse, there are a few who quietly rise. They were not lucky, they were liquid. While he tied all his wealth in appearance, cars, houses, status, they held theirs in patience. He learned that wealth is not speed, but survivability. Riches that cannot endure winter are not riches, but decoration. So he began again, this time investing in resilience, not luxury, When the next crisis came, he expanded while others shrank. He understood the fundamental law: those who prepare for chaos become the architects of order. There was a general who won wars without fighting. He realized early that soldiers don't follow orders, they follow certainty. He made his men believe that he could see further than they could, even when he couldn't. He cultivated an aura of inevitability, not through arrogance, but through consistency. When he spoke only of what he knew. When he promised, he delivered. Slowly, faith became his weapon. Enemies surrendered not because they feared him, but because they doubted themselves. That is the secret of persuasion, not to overpower others' will, but to weaken their certainty. The same rule governs wealth. People give money where they trust control. In another city, a merchant discovered that beauty sells faster than necessity. He designed his goods with elegance no one asked for. At first, people mocked him for wasting resources on design. But over time, his products became symbols of identity, not function. He realized that wealth is emotional architecture people buy to feel seen. That merchant became rich, not because he made better goods, but because he made people believe that owning them made them better. The world rewards the illusion that flatters the ego. If you want to build wealth, learn not only to solve problems, but to satisfy vanity. Once, there was a farmer whose land was dry and unforgiving. His neighbors gave up, sold their property, and moved to the city. He stayed. Instead of fighting the desert, he studied it. He learned which crops could thrive in drought, how to harvest dew before sunrise, how to use the heat to produce herbs that others overlooked. Years later, while the others begged for jobs, he exported what the world suddenly wanted: resilience. He became the wealthiest man in the region. The lesson is cruelly simple. Adapt faster than sympathy arrives. Another man entered politics with no wealth, no family, no alliances, but he understood human vanity. He never argued directly. He made others believe his ideas were their own. He agreed publicly, redirected privately, and let others take credit until their dependence on his counsel became irreversible. By the time they realized his influence, it was too late. He was indispensable. To rise from nothing, never chase credit. Influence first, recognition later. Power is born not in applause, but in quiet indispensability. There was a writer who sold truth in a world addicted to illusion. He failed for years. Then he changed one thing. He stopped selling truth and started selling clarity. He realized that people don't want reality, they want relief. He packaged wisdom in stories, pain in poetry, and truth in entertainment. He became wealthy, but more importantly, he became heard. You must learn this balance. Truth is power, only when it can be digested. The masses do not reject reality, they reject discomfort. Therefore, give them beauty wrapped around brutality. That is how you move them without resistance. Once, a thief was caught and imprisoned. In confinement, he studied accounting. He learned that legal theft is called profit, and criminal profit is only theft without paperwork. When he was released, he built a business empire that exploited the same loopholes that once condemned him. The difference was, now he wore a suit instead of a mask. His crime became commerce. His shame became wisdom. Never forget this. The border between moral and legal is drawn by the powerful. The wise learn where that line lies and how to walk it with precision. A king once invited two advisors to solve a crisis of famine. One suggested reform, the other spectacle. The first proposed infrastructure, the second proposed distraction. The second won. He understood that hungry people demand food, but hopeless people demand entertainment. The lesson: wealth follows attention, not necessity. The modern version of this truth is, simple people will pay more to escape their reality than to improve it. Whoever controls escape controls economy. There was a street cleaner who became a millionaire. He didn't change professions, he changed perception. He began arriving early, sweeping not just dirt, but disorder. He noticed that business owners were judged by how their storefronts looked. He offered to manage cleanliness as brand curation. His rates rose, his clientele grew. Within years, he owned the entire cleaning infrastructure of the district. He never sold labor, he sold reputation. The poor sell their hands, the rich sell their symbolism. There was a teacher who realized her students didn't want knowledge, they wanted validation. So she began grading not just with numbers, but with narratives, attaching each result to a sense of identity. Her students became obsessed with improvement. Their performance rose, her reputation soared, and her small academy became a global model. She learned the law of influence. Praise is currency when it's scarce. The art of giving recognition is more profitable than the act of demanding it. Once, an inventor created a machine that saved labor but threatened jobs. No one wanted it, so he disguised it as entertainment, a toy for the wealthy. They bought it for fun. Then, industries adopted it for efficiency. He understood that new power must first amuse before it replaces. Wealth follows the path of least resistance, disguised disruption as delight. A philosopher once said, "Men are not moved by truth but by direction." He built nothing, owned nothing, yet trained the minds of those who ruled empires. His wealth was invisible but absolute. He understood that to shape a civilization, you must not fight its rulers. You must design their ideas. Knowledge becomes power only when embedded in authority. To influence the powerful, speak not to their morality, but to their legacy. A man who owned a single bakery began printing quotes on his bread wrappers, small anonymous fragments of wisdom. Within months, customers collected them. His sales doubled, not because the bread tasted better, but because people wanted meaning with their meals. That man discovered the invisible hunger that drives commerce, the human need for significance. If you can attach meaning to material, you can sell anything. A politician once discovered that it was better to appear indecisive than to be proven wrong. He mastered delay disguised as deliberation. He let his opponents rush decisions and fail first. He learned that timing is the architecture of dominance. The poor rush from fear of missing out. The powerful wait until the field clears. The illusion of patience is often the mask of preparation. And then there was the trader who became rich by predicting panic. He studied how people react under fear, not the economy itself. When others chased trends, he studied thresholds, the emotional limits at which crowds turn irrational. He made fortune not from logic, but from human fragility. Every collapse enriched him. To him, markets were not mathematics, they were mass psychology. He understood the central law of power: predict emotion, and you will predict history. All these people had one thing in common: they learned to see what others ignored. They understood that wealth hides beneath fear, that power wears the costume of chaos, that opportunity never arrives dressed as comfort. They mastered not the world, but their reading of it. That is the real alchemy: to take the same material that destroys others and shape it into destiny. And you, if you wish to rise from nothing, must begin there in the discipline of perception. You must train your eyes to see what convenience hides, your ears to hear what noise conceals, and your mind to move where the herd hesitates. For wealth does not belong to the brilliant or the brave. It belongs to the one who sees the unseen first and acts before belief catches up. To actually get rich from nothing, you must begin not with money, but with command. Command over perception, over direction, over yourself. Wealth is never created from the surface of effort. It is summoned from the depth of clarity. To move from nothing to abundance, you must first redefine what nothing means. Nothing is not emptiness. It is potential unclaimed. It is the ground before the architecture, the silence before the decree. Most people fear this space because it does not reward them immediately. But those who endure it, those who act strategically within it, become the ones who dictate the terms of all future exchanges. You must begin by understanding that wealth is a system, not a secret. It is not hidden from you. It is protected by the complexity of human emotion. The world does not run on fairness. It runs on flow. Resources move toward confidence, attention, and competence. If you lack these, the system drains you. If you cultivate them, it serves you. Therefore, the real beginning of wealth is internal equilibrium. When your decisions are no longer ruled by fear, you begin to attract power, because power itself gravitates toward those who are unshaken. To get rich from nothing, you must not chase income, you must chase position. The poor seek wages. The powerful create systems that produce wages for them. You must detach from the illusion that labor equals value. Labor is replaceable, control is not. Your objective is to move from participation to orchestration, to stop trading your time for someone else's plan, and begin trading your vision for their dependence. The one who designs the structure dictates the rewards. Money is only a symptom of influence. Influence is a consequence of control, and control is the outcome of understanding cause. Most people react to the effects of the world. Prices rise, trends shift, markets fluctuate, but the rich anticipate causes. They do not wait to see the wave, they create the tide. If you wish to get rich, you must cease reacting and begin positioning. Power does not belong to those who work hardest, but to those who move first, unseen. Every man must build two empires, one external, one internal. The external empire is measured in assets, results, visible success. The internal empire is measured in discipline, insight, and detachment. Without the inner, the outer collapses. Without the outer, the inner stagnates. To rise from nothing, you must construct both simultaneously an empire of structure and an empire of mind. Your habits, your attention, your emotions, these are your first territories. Rule them ruthlessly. Only then can you govern anything beyond yourself. You must also master the principle of exchange. Nothing in this world is given freely, and yet everything is for sale: time, trust, image, even silence. The poor give away what the rich sell. Your goal is not to become stingy, but strategic. Every word, every favor, every association must serve a larger architecture. Learn to treat your resources as weapons, not comforts. Money spent without return is weakness disguised as generosity. Every transaction must move you closer to control. If it doesn't, it moves you closer to servitude. To build from nothing, you must become indispensable to value. The world pays not for labor, but for leverage. Leverage is the ability to multiply output without multiplying effort. It can come through systems, technology, persuasion, or perception, but its essence is the same: to make reality move on your behalf. The one who leverages others' desires while appearing to serve them creates a self-sustaining empire. If you wish to rise, you must understand that the economy is not just financial, it is psychological. Every person is a market of emotion. Every community is an ecosystem of belief. To get rich is to enter this marketplace with precision, to supply identity where confusion reigns and certainty where doubt consumes. The world trades not in goods, but in feelings disguised as products. Whoever shapes those feelings shapes the flow of all wealth. Detachment is the first law of accumulation. To stay poor is to be ruled by appetite. To rise is to command desire instead of obeying it. You must resist the modern disease of perpetual consumption. Every ad, every algorithm, every distraction exists to keep you dependent. The moment you stop reacting, you begin ascending. The poor are ruled by impulse. The rich are guided by structure. To get rich from nothing, you must live as if each decision is an investment, because it is. You must replace urgency with inevitability. The poor chase quick gains because they fear irrelevance. The powerful move slowly because they understand compounding. Compounding is the silent tyrant of wealth, invisible, consistent, unstoppable. Every disciplined action today becomes a multiplier tomorrow. The man who learns to delay pleasure controls not just his future, but the futures of those who serve him. To get rich from nothing, you must cultivate clarity that transcends chaos. When others panic, you must see the pattern. When others follow, you must redefine the direction. The market punishes emotion and rewards insight. Every crisis is an invitation disguised as catastrophe. If you can stand still when others tremble, you can claim the opportunities they abandon. Wealth is the harvest of calm intelligence in a world of reactive noise. And above all, you must remember that the world pays for leadership, not labor. Leadership is not charisma or charm. It is the art of directing collective attention. To lead is to assign meaning to events before anyone else does. The man who names the narrative controls the crowd. If you can give the masses a reason to believe in your interpretation of reality, their resources will follow. The poor seek equality. The powerful seek equilibrium. Equality is a dream built on resentment. Equilibrium is a strategy built on dominance. You do not need to oppress to rule. You simply need to design systems where others voluntarily align with your interest. Wealth is not taken, it is attracted. Control is not seized, it is structured. To get rich from nothing, learn to endure the invisible years, those long, unrecognized periods when you are refining your craft, mastering your patience, and building without applause. These are the years the world forgets, but they are the crucible of permanence. Those who endure obscurity without despair emerge unassailable because they are no longer addicted to validation. The rich are not the ones who win early. They are the ones who persist unseen until the world must acknowledge them. Real wealth is not loud. It does not announce itself with noise or extravagance. It moves silently through influence, control, and precision. The loud rich are the bait. The silent rich are the architects. Your task is not to shine, but to shape. Not to impress, but to endure. When you can move the world without the world noticing, you have transcended money itself. So, to actually get rich from nothing, you must act like a sovereign in exile, governing your thoughts, disciplining your time, and mastering the subtle currents of perception that rule human behavior. Build quietly, act strategically, detach emotionally, and move decisively. For the modern empire is not made of castles or armies. It is built from invisible influence, structured through systems, and enforced by those who do not even realize they serve it. And when you reach it, when the wealth arrives, when the system bends in your favor, do not mistake it for the end. Wealth is not a destination. It is a rotation of power. You must learn to use it, not worship it. For those who worship wealth become consumed by it. But those who understand it, who treat it as instrument, not identity, become the few who shape the age itself. That is how to actually get rich from nothing, not by chasing fortune, but by mastering the forces that govern it. Not by waiting for luck, but by becoming the law beneath it. Not by asking what is fair, but by learning what is inevitable and positioning yourself where inevitability pays tribute. The path to true wealth begins with the cold acknowledgement that fortune does not favor the deserving, it favors the prepared. Men speak of luck because they do not wish to admit their own unreadiness. Fortune is a storm, it destroys the unanchored, and propels the ones who have already set their sails. To act before the wind changes is wisdom, to act after it changes is desperation. You must therefore prepare your ship while the sea seems calm. Those who wait for ideal conditions will die ashore, still polishing their dreams. To rise from nothing, you must cultivate the discipline of foresight, to see beyond the present pleasure into the architecture of advantage. Every gain that endures is born from anticipation. You must think not only of what a thing is, but of what it will become. The untrained mind reacts. The strategic mind predicts. In the court of wealth, the fool is the one who believes timing can be improvised. Most men remain poor because they misunderstand fear. They flee from it instead of commanding it. Fear is not an enemy. It is an ally that sharpens judgment when reason hesitates. The ruler of his fears becomes ruler of his fate. But those who let fear dictate their choices end up serving those who have mastered it. Poverty often begins with the refusal to confront discomfort. Power begins with the willingness to hold it until it yields. It is not enough to act, one must act with calculation. Many ruin their ascent by mistaking passion for power. Passion is fire without direction. It consumes more than it conquers. The wise man uses it as ignition, not fuel. A fire that burns too bright invites attention, and attention without control attracts opposition. Therefore, the art of getting rich is not in being seen, but in being necessary. Necessity shields you where popularity cannot. You must understand the hierarchy of control. At the bottom are those who serve for survival. They sell their hours and call it work. Above them are those who trade knowledge. They sell solutions and call it expertise. But above all are those who control direction, the architects who determine what others strive toward. The first group eats from the table. The last owns the table. Wealth begins when you cease feeding from systems and begin designing them. The masses live by rules they did not write. The powerful live by rules they quietly amend. The difference is not moral, but mental. The law is a language, and like all languages, it serves those who learn to interpret it, not those who blindly obey it. To get rich, you must learn to read the hidden grammar of power, the unwritten codes that determine who profits and who pays. The ignorant call it corruption, the informed call it structure. A ruler does not seek equality, for equality dilutes command. He seeks order, the kind that allows his will to move without obstruction. Wealth is order in motion. Every coin in circulation is a reflection of confidence in someone's authority. If you wish to be rich, you must become the reason others believe in value. To command trust is to command trade. To command trade is to command nations. You must also master the art of concealment. The ambitious man who reveals his full intent invites opposition before his foundation is complete. Appear humble while you prepare domination. Appear uncertain while you calculate precision. The fox survives not by strength but by secrecy. Once your advantage is visible, it begins to decay. Power, like flame, lasts longer when protected from open air. There is a difference between virtue and utility. The poor chase virtue as appearance. The powerful use virtue as disguise. To the world, you must seem just, even when you act out of necessity. The crowd forgives success more easily than sincerity. Therefore, cultivate a reputation of virtue even when you must employ vice. Appear moral, act strategic. Men judge more by what they see than by what they suffer. And the wise ruler builds his empire on this blindness. Be cautious with mercy. Mercy is noble when it strengthens loyalty, but fatal when it weakens respect. To pardon without purpose is vanity disguised as kindness. Better to be feared for reliability than loved for indulgence. The world respects those who enforce consequence, not those who escape it. To govern wealth, one must first govern discipline. Do not trust enthusiasm. The loudest followers often hide the weakest loyalty. Loyalty built on gain will vanish when the winds change. Therefore, tie allegiance not to affection, but to alignment. Make it costly for others to betray you. Bind their advantage to your survival, and they will protect you as they protect themselves. This is the silent contract that sustains every empire. Wealth demands hierarchy of thought, of behavior, of responsibility. You must not only rule others, but also rule yourself. The man who cannot resist flattery will fall to deceit. The one who cannot delay reward will fall to poverty. Master yourself as though you were your own subject. Every indulgence is a rebellion against your sovereignty. When dealing with rivals, understand that destruction is not always victory. The wise ruler cripples power, not pride. A defeated enemy who retains dignity will one day rebuild. A humiliated one will die trying. Therefore, remove capacity but preserve illusion. Let your rivals believe they have chosen their own submission. The most efficient conquest is consent disguised as choice. Fortune favors the adaptable. Those who cling to tradition when circumstances demand innovation perish quietly, blaming fate. The intelligent adapt form without surrendering principle. To get rich, you must be water in the hands of fire, able to cool, able to erode, able to survive. Adaptation is not betrayal. It is continuation under disguise. The unyielding man mistakes rigidity for strength. The flexible man endures until he commands. Never underestimate appearances. Wealth is as much theater as it is arithmetic. Perception governs cooperation. The people will follow the one who looks like order even before he proves it. A strong posture creates obedience where arguments fail. Dress, timing, silence. These are tools of command no less than strategy or intelligence. He who neglects form loses substance. Every rise requires sacrifice. You cannot build without demolishing the structures that kept you safe in mediocrity. To ascend is to sever from comfort, from old identities, from those who fear your transformation. The world will call it arrogance, but it is necessity. Empires are not born from consensus. They are born from isolation followed by alignment. To be chosen by destiny, you must first choose exile from conformity. If you wish to secure your wealth, build it in such a way that it outlives your absence. The true ruler leaves systems, not legacies. A legacy depends on memory. A system endures through dependence. The wise man structures his power so deeply into the habits of others that removing him collapses their comfort. That is immortality in the language of rulers. And when at last you possess wealth, remember, possession invites envy. The only security against envy is usefulness. A rich man who serves no purpose is soon devoured. Let your wealth appear as benefit to others' employment, progress, stability, while in truth it fortifies your sovereignty. Make yourself the pillar upon which others' prosperity stands, and they will defend you with their lives. Finally, know this. The true measure of riches is not how much you can buy, but how little you must obey. Freedom is the rarest coin, and it is minted only through mastery. The man who can command silence, who can withdraw without consequence, who can shape others' ambition while remaining untouched by their desires, that man has achieved what kings and merchants alike secretly crave. So, when you ask how to get rich from nothing, understand that you are not chasing currency but authority. Money is the shadow of control. It follows those who understand movement, manipulation, and meaning. Build not merely to earn, but to endure. And when the world bends to your structure, you will finally see. The rich do not own the world, they orchestrate it. In the end, wealth is not the accumulation of things, but the dominion over circumstance. To rise from nothing is to declare that you will no longer live at the mercy of men's permission or the unpredictability of fate. The world belongs not to those who dream, but to those who act with precision. Fortune, like power, bows only to the discipline. Do not seek to be loved for your rise. Seek to be remembered for your control. Let others chase comfort while you study consequence. The path to greatness is paved with indifference to approval. You will be misunderstood, envied, resisted, but all rulers are. What separates the rich from the forgotten is not morality, but endurance. The crown belongs to those who refuse to kneel even in solitude. When wealth finally comes, do not mistake it for victory. It is merely the permission to play the next game, the game of preservation. Power decays when it ceases to evolve. Keep your empire fluid, your mind sharp, your desires few. For the man who governs his will governs his world. To get rich from nothing is not to join the ranks of the powerful, it is to transcend the need for their validation. The poor ask what they are worth, the powerful decide it. The poor hope for opportunity, the powerful manufacture it. The poor survive time, the powerful bend it. And when all is said and done, you will look back and understand that the climb itself was the wealth, the knowledge, the control, the mastery. Money is spent, power is challenged, but understanding endures. The man who commands himself commands fortune, and in that command lies the only true empire, one that begins with nothing and ends with everything.